Hello, how are you today, my friend? This is in Vietnamese, and that's the purpose of why I'm over here in Okinawa at the moment. I'm right now at a USO in Naha, trying to get a chance to see Paul again, and also waiting for this is Saturday, and waiting for Sunday to come so that I can go to church for the first time that I've been able to go for about 3 months, and that's really a rare privilege that I'm really looking forward to go to again attend church. And also I'm real tickled because the Apostle Hugh B. Brown and Gordon B. Hinckley is going to be here in Okinawa in about 2 weeks, and I'll get to see them and talk to them a little bit about this psychological warfare that's going on in Vietnam, and see if I can get the church behind me in this great work. I'm really blessed to be here attending this Vietnamese school, because it is an Army school, and as you know, the Marines are a fighting group. They don't know anything except war and killing, and it's about a rare privilege of 1 in 1,000 to be able to come to the school and partake of the opportunity to learn the customs, the culture, the language of the people, and try to help them in their great travail that's facing them at this moment. The reason I'm sending this tape is because I am in Okinawa and I'm not receiving any mail from Vietnam, and I'm hoping that this will get to Ruby and to Wayne, that they may tell all my friends and my folks and relatives that I won't be writing to them for a little while. Maybe this tape recording will suffice till then. I want to see Paul here in Naha. This is the reason I'm in the capital city of Okinawa. The weekends they give us a little bit of liberty, and they've given us liberty right now. Paul right now, I just went to his digs a half an hour ago, and he's out gallivanting on the seaside at a picnic on the ocean, playing with people and having kind of a ward outing out there. He'll be back in about 3 or 4 hours, and we'll get a chance to have a good reunion and talk about old times and get ready for tomorrow's church. Paul, you know, is the district leader there, and there's 6 companions that live with him, 6 missionaries that live with him, and he's really well respected and looked up to. I feel like I'm in the company of greatness. And because a lot of my family are the ones that helped participate in that great labor of love and sending over those toys and equipment for the little kiddies, I want to express my thanks to them, because this is really a program that you can see results of it. I had a chance for just a week before I came here to Okinawa to start delivering these things out, and the kids were just delighted. Please tell all those who participated, thank you very much. And boy, let me tell you that I honestly believe now that this church, this Mormon church, is the only power, the only influence in the world that can make it a better place to live. It can't be our abundant armies, our military strength, our nuclear weapons, our genius, our scientists, but it can only be compassion and understanding. It can only be the qualities that Christ exemplified. And the more I travel, and every day convinces me of this, you people back there, you've got the power, the examples to influence mankind for the better, and it's the only thing that can actually bring about peace in the world. You're probably now wondering what war is like in Vietnam. I could probably express myself better on paper when I have time to pick my words real slowly, but maybe I'll try anyway. The war over there is kind of a sporadic affair. You'll hear noise and bombing around you all the time. There's always firefights every night. Somebody usually is wounded coming in from Medcap or from the midnight patrols. It's not as fierce as any of the wars we fought before. Nevertheless, it is a real and tragic war, and one which many of the civilians and children and women are caught in the middle, and these are the great casualties. Let me give you a personal example that happened to me the last week I was in Vietnam. We went out to a certain average village which had a CAC unit, which is a Marine platoon with about 14 or 15 men attached to the village to keep it secure, and it was also where some Marvin troops lived to keep the people safe and secure from the Viet Cong that come and raid off and on during the nights and so forth. We went to the middle of the marketplace where they sold all their products, their rice, and little novelties, etc., etc., and there we began our lectures, our programs to try to get help from the civilians, and also we knew there was Cong in the village, and we tried to get a program going for them so that they could come over to our side without being prisoners of war, etc. We talked to them for a couple of hours, gave them pamphlets. I mingled amongst the people, played with the children, gave out candy and so forth, and had a real jovial time. And the people seemed like they were just delighted to have us there. And we had a huge mass of people, and it was really a success. As the sun had gone down, we put up our equipment, drove our truck about half a block away to where our bunker was, and began to set in for the night. Well, there just happened to be an Arvin truck that rolled past the same marketplace where we had been an hour earlier, and sure enough, from that village, we heard the splatter of guns, and there's about 4 Arvin troops that were wounded, and a couple of them that were killed, and they came into our bunker. And as soon as that happened, of course, Marines went through the village, and for about a half an hour, there's nothing but the roar of automatic machine guns and fire back into the village. Of course, there were civilians hurt. Now, 3 months ago when that would happen, we wouldn't even go in with our regular troops. We'd just radio 3 or 4 miles away for artillery to blast away at the very village. And the people, every person was for themselves. And it so happened that we'd actually razed villages, the entire villages, clean out the whole thing just through 5 minutes of artillery and mortar fire. It wouldn't even be a pig or a chicken left. You see, the life of one Marine is worth to our commanders, in his estimation, at least 2 or 3 dozen Vietnamese, and this has always been the case. The Americans have, rather than take the chance of going into a village themselves, they just mortar it. And this is where the sadness of the war comes in, because so many of these villagers, these peasants, that don't even know anything but their own farm laborers, are getting massacred. Now, I've read stories of World War II and of the Korean conflict where civilians were killed in masses, where some of our own men were killed, but I've never seen anything so tragic as it's going on over here. And this is the horrible story of the last days, I suppose, and I guess I have to get used to such a mass slaughter of people, but I don't think I can. And this is why I'm so grateful and happy that I belong to this S5, which is the Psychological and Civic War Team. And this is where we have the opportunity to try to change people's minds and show them a better way of life. It's similar to what I would suspect to be the Peace Corps. And although we carry guns, we do have to defend ourselves, and I have used my rifle against snipers, and snipers have splattered their little carbons at us. We still have the chance to work with the people instead of fight against them too much. Because it's a sad day, I believe, when big tough old Marines have to face women and children. I think it was the second day I was here. We'd caught a whole division, not a division, but a whole regiment of Viet Cong about a mile away from our camp. And when we discovered who they were, we found that they were the local village children. They weren't children; they were about 14 to 18-year-olds, and they were training, and they were getting ready to attack our camp. And we caught them in the act, and they were digging in there in one of their They're huge cemeteries. Over here, about 20% of the land is used for their cemeteries. They really eulogize their graves and their ancestors. But we found them digging in their graves, and we caught them, and we wiped out a whole regiment of them right there at one time. But the tragic note of it was in that group were people who the Marines knew, who worked with, who knew them in the villages. Some knew them by name. There were 17, 18-year-old girls. And there were children who didn't look any older than 15 years old or 16 years old, who were carrying grenades and so forth, and who are vicious enough to kill us. But nevertheless, even though they were such, I don't think that I could have the strength or the moral character to point my rifle at one of them and take his life, even though they are my mortal enemy, because they're such a simple people. They don't realize what they're fighting for. It's like taking children out and training them to kill and to war. And that's why I'm so glad that I'm here in this type of warfare, where I can deal with these people in terms of ideas and understandings and so forth, instead of in terms of military might and strength. I can sure feel now how Carl must have felt when he were fighting those Korean villagers in the hamlets and so forth. Even some of our hard-charging commanders that have been in the Corps for quite a long time say that they don't even think about the civilians and the people who they fight, because if they did, they couldn't go on. It would drive them batty, they say. And this is the type of thing that we face. I don't know hardly what to say, but I want to at least end on this note that I think a great deal of you people back there because of your goodness. You are truly a blessed people, and I love every one of you. And I want you to know that I believe firmly, more firmly now than perhaps even in the mission field, that the great issue is the issue of righteousness, and that this church of Jesus Christ is true. It is the only power upon the earth which can help mankind and save it from the impending darkness that's enveloping the earth at this very moment. Truly, every situation I've encountered so far over here, and most of the people I talk to, convinces me of that old sage's prophecy that says it will be as in the days of Noah, when there shall be eating and drinking and making merry. And also in the days of Noah, it says that the earth was filled with violence, and the earth did mourn over the wickedness of its people, and so forth and so forth. Thus, I have a great feeling that all will be well with me if I can only keep myself unspotted from the sins of this world. I know that God lives. I know that Jesus is the Christ, and if there's anything that can bring peace about in this world, it's this church. And through your prayers and your effort, your example, your light, perhaps we can be able to influence mankind for the better. Maybe it'll take a millennium to do this. Maybe I could tell you just a little bit how I got into this new assignment. About the second day I was there, I happened to see over at the dump a Marine who was guarding the gate to the dump, where there was a mass of about 40 or 50 people who were trying to get in at the things, the chow rations, the sea rations and so forth. Anyway, this Marine was having quite a difficult time, and people were even starting to throw stones at him, and I went on over to him. People seemed like they calmed down a little bit when I got there, perhaps because I had an M1 on me, an M16 on my shoulder. Anyway, I began to talk to them, and I noticed that they were filled with hate and contempt for us. And this was unlike anything I expected. These children showed a lot of fierce anger and so forth. And so I began to talk to them in my own language, and it seemed like they understood, and they listened. And they gathered together, and they tried to hear what I said. And I said words to the effect that we're over here to help you, and we want to be your friends. Why do you fight us? We want to stop this war so we can leave. As you know, the people believed that we're over here to exploit them, to take their land, their money, to treat them as slaves, as the French did, etc. And so I tried to do this. And I noticed in the background that there was 3 young girls that were more or less, to me they looked like the leaders, because whenever they would say anything, the rest would follow. And the children looked to these 3 girls for their leadership and so forth. Anyway, I said to these leaders, I said, I know you can understand me, and I know you know what I'm saying, because I can tell by the look in your eye. And immediately they hid their eyes. Anyway, this gave me an idea, and I had a chance to talk to our major, who was XO of 2nd Battalion, and he listened to me for one night for a whole hour, and invited me back to his office the next night, and I talked to him for another hour, and then he immediately got me transferred to S5, where I'm working with a fine lieutenant now. And we have a wonderful program going for us, where we give out food and care packages and so forth. It's more or less to me like the Peace Corps, for in the midst of fierce terror, fear, hate, the only forces that can combat those things, there's not a military force, but the force of compassion and humility and meekness and brotherly kindness, and all the principles that Christ exemplified. That's why we can't win this war. The Kong come in at night, they rape the women, they string them up and torture them and force them into following their way, and then we come in the next day and we try to force them to our way of thinking through our powerful weapons and our most fearsome type of death-dealing weapons that we've ever developed. Napalm, for instance. The Marines, to soften their heart against these people. Maybe I can close with this. We are living in the last days, the greatest days upon the earth, and it's going to demand the greatest work.